Where's your mother? Adrian's voice cut through the carnival noise as he knelt in front of the two crying girls. Their identical faces were streaked with tears, their small bodies trembling in the December cold. Christmas lights blazed overhead, turning their wet cheeks golden red. The girl on the left, the one with the tiny mole near her eye, opened her mouth, but no words came out, just a sob that made Adrian's chest ache. We lost her. The other twin finally spoke, her voice breaking on every word. We can't find her anywhere. Adrian's hand tightened on his daughter Emma's shoulder. Around them, the amusement park pulsed with life. Families laughed. Children screamed on rides. Music blared from speakers shaped like candy canes. But these two girls stood frozen in their own private nightmare, and no one else seemed to notice. How long ago? Adrian asked. I don't know. The first twin's voice rose to a wail. We got off the carousel and she was gone, and we looked everywhere and... Okay, listen to me. Adrian kept his voice steady even though his mind was already calculating. Lost kids, crowded park, temperature dropping. We're going to find her. But I need you to breathe. Can you do that? Both girls nodded, but their breathing came in sharp, panicked gasps. Emma squeezed between Adrian and the twins without asking permission. She grabbed one girl's hand. My daddy finds things. He found my toy rabbit when I thought it was lost forever. He'll find your mom. If you've ever helped someone when no one else would, drop a comment below. Sometimes one act of kindness changes everything. The announcement crackled overhead. The park will be closing in 30 minutes. Please make your way to the exits. Adrian stood up, scanning the thinning crowd. The hot chocolate stand was shutting down. Vendors were covering their carts with tarps. Families streamed toward the parking lot in heavy coats and scarves, their breath creating clouds in the frozen air. 30 minutes. That was all the time he had. What are your names? He asked. I'm Zara. The girl with the mole wiped her nose with her mitten. And I'm Nia. The other twin's voice came out so quiet, Adrian barely heard it. Okay, Zara and Nia. I'm Adrian. This is Emma. We're going to walk around and look for your mom together. But you have to stay right next to me. Don't let go of each other's hands. Understand? Yes, they whispered together. Adrian led them toward the main walkway, past the pretzel stand pumping cinnamon-scented air, past teenagers taking selfies in front of the giant Christmas tree, past a man selling balloons shaped like reindeer. His worn jacket did nothing against the wind that picked up, carrying the smell of fried food and pine. He'd brought Emma here with money he couldn't really spare, half a week's wages from his janitor job gone in 4 hours. But she'd wanted to see the lights. She'd talked about nothing else for weeks, and what kind of father would he be if he said no? Now he was searching for someone else's children while the park closed around them. Daddy, where should we look first? Emma asked. Security booth, then the front office. They moved faster now, Adrian's eyes sweeping every face in the crowd. Was that woman searching? That man looking around frantically? But everyone just walked past, focused on getting to their cars, getting home, getting warm. The twins' hands stayed locked together. Their steps were small and uncertain. Every few seconds, one of them would turn around, hoping to see their mother running toward them. But the crowd just kept thinning, and their mother was nowhere. What happens when time runs out and the park goes dark? Can Adrian find their mother before it's too late? The security booth was empty. Adrian pressed his face against the glass window, cupping his hands around his eyes to see inside. A half-eaten sandwich sat on the desk. A jacket hung on the back of a chair. A computer screen glowed blue, but no person. Hello? He knocked hard. Anyone here? Nothing. A handwritten sign taped to the door read, "Back in 20 minutes. Perfect. Adrian pulled out his phone. No signal. The network was probably overloaded with everyone leaving at once. Maybe the front office? Emma suggested, pointing toward the main building near the park entrance. Zara started crying again. What if she left without us? She didn't leave. Adrian crouched down, looking both girls in the eyes. Mothers don't abandon their children. She's looking for you right now, I promise. But even as he said the words, doubt crawled into his mind. What if something had happened? What if she'd been hurt? What if... He pushed the thoughts away. Focus. The front office. They hurried across the park, their breath coming out in white puffs. The Ferris wheel had stopped turning. The carousel horses were frozen mid-gallop. Workers in yellow vests moved through the crowd, directing people toward the exits. The front office sat at the edge of the parking lot, a small brick building with a flickering neon sign that read "Park Information." Adrian pulled the door open. Inside, a woman with gray hair sat behind a desk, filing her nails. She didn't look up. "Excuse me." Adrian approached the counter, the twins pressed against his sides. "These girls are lost. We're looking for their mother." The woman glanced up, her expression bored. "Did you try the security booth?" "Nobody's there." She went back to her nails. "They should be back soon. The park is closing in 15 minutes. "I know." She examined her thumb. "Not much I can do about that." Heat flashed through Adrian's chest. "2 children are missing their mother. Can you at least make an announcement?" "Announcement system's already off for the night." "Then can you—" "Sir, I'm just the information desk. Lost children go through security. You'll have to wait for them to get back." Adrian stared at her, his jaw clenched so tight his teeth hurt. Emma tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, it's okay. We can keep looking." He forced himself to turn away before he said something he'd regret. They pushed back out into the cold. The parking lot was half empty now. Cars pulled out in long lines, their taillights making red streaks in the darkness. "Where else, Daddy?" Adrian looked around. "The food court, the restrooms, the gift shop. We'll check everywhere. Come on." They moved through what was left of the crowd. Adrian stopped anyone who would listen. "Have you seen a woman looking for lost children?" Most people shook their heads and kept walking. One security guard was too busy on his phone to even respond. A vendor packing up his cotton candy machine said he hadn't noticed anything. The Christmas music had stopped. Now there was just wind and the distant sound of car engines and the mechanical hum of rides powering down for the night. Nia's teeth were chattering. "I'm cold." "I know, sweetheart. Just a little longer." But even Adrian was starting to lose hope. The park was nearly empty. The lights were going out section by section. Soon it would be pitch black, and these 2 girls would still be there. Zara's voice cracked with desperation. "By the exit." Adrian's head snapped up. A sleek black car had pulled up to the curb near the main gate, and a woman was stepping out. Is this finally their mother? Or is Adrian about to face his worst nightmare? The woman moved like she owned every inch of ground beneath her feet. Adrian saw it immediately. The way her white coat fit perfectly. The way her heels clicked against the pavement with absolute confidence. The way people unconsciously moved aside to let her pass. Underneath the coat she wore red. Bright red that looked expensive even from a distance. "Mommy!" Both twins broke free from Adrian's grip and ran. Their small legs pumped hard across the asphalt. Their voices rang out high and desperate. The woman's head jerked up, her eyes widening. She dropped to her knees right there on the cold concrete, arms opening wide. The impact of the twins hitting her nearly knocked her backward. She wrapped them up, pulling them so close they disappeared into her coat. Her shoulders shook. "Oh God! Oh my God!" Her voice carried across the parking lot. "I thought I'd lost you. I thought—" Adrian exhaled hard, relief flooding his body. Found, safe, done. He squeezed Emma's hand. "Come on, baby. Let's get you home." But before he could turn away, the woman's head lifted. Her eyes locked onto him, and everything about her face changed. Relief vanished. Her expression went hard and cold. She stood up slowly, pulling both twins behind her body like a shield. When she spoke, her voice could have frozen water. "Who are you?" Adrian stopped walking. I helped your daughters. They were lost, and you were with my children." She took a step forward, putting herself directly between Adrian and the girls. "Alone." "For how long?" "Mom, no!" Zara tried to push around her mother's legs. "He helped us find you." The woman didn't look down. Her eyes stayed glued to Adrian's face, and what he saw there made his stomach turn over. Suspicion, accusation, fear that had twisted into something ugly. "What were you doing with them?" Her voice rose higher. People in the parking lot were slowing down, turning to watch. "Where did you take them?" "I didn't take them anywhere." Adrian kept his voice level even though his heart was pounding. They were crying by the carousel. "I have a daughter." He gestured to Emma, who was now pressed tight against his leg, her eyes wide. Oh, you have a daughter, so that makes it fine? The woman's laugh was sharp and bitter. You think I'm stupid? Some strange man alone with my children in a dark park? It's not dark. And I wasn't alone. Emma was with me the whole time. A convenient cover story. The words hit Adrian like a slap. Around them, a small crowd had formed. Phone cameras came out. Whispers spread. He could feel every eye on him, feel the weight of judgment pressing down from all sides. Lady, I was trying to help. Help. She repeated the word like it tasted rotten. Is that what you call it? Approaching someone else's children? Taking them away from where I left them? Where you left them. The words burst out before Adrian could stop them. You left them crying and alone while the park was closing. Her face went white, then red. How dare you? You have no idea what happened. I was frantic looking for them while I was keeping them safe. Daddy, please. Emma's voice was so small. Can we go? The woman finally looked at Emma. Something flickered across her face, doubt maybe, uncertainty. But then her jaw set again, hard as stone. Stay away from my daughters. She turned, herding Zara and Nia toward the car. Get in, now. The twins climbed into the back seat, their faces pressed against the window, their mouths forming words Adrian couldn't hear. Apologies, maybe, or thank you. The woman opened the driver's door. She paused there for just a second, looking back at Adrian. Her expression was unreadable in the glow of the parking lot lights. Then she slid into the car and slammed the door. The engine roared to life. The black car pulled away, its taillights disappearing into the line of traffic leaving the park. Adrian stood there, his daughter's hand in his, with a dozen strangers staring at him like he'd committed a crime. Sir? A security guard approached, his hand resting on his belt. We got a couple calls about a disturbance. Everything okay here? What just happened? And why does Adrian feel like his good deed just turned into the worst mistake of his life? Adrian couldn't feel his hands. He stood in the parking lot while the security guard asked him questions. What happened? Why he was with those children, where their mother was now. Each question felt like an accusation wrapped in professional courtesy. I was helping them, Adrian repeated for the third time. They were lost. I have a daughter. I would never... I'm sure you wouldn't, sir. The guard's voice was neutral, but his eyes said something different. Just following up on the calls we received. Emma pressed closer to Adrian's side, her small body trembling. Not from cold, from fear. Fear that her father was in trouble for doing something good. That cut deeper than anything the woman in the white coat had said. Are we free to go? Adrian asked. The guard nodded slowly. Yeah, just... Maybe next time bring lost kids directly to security instead of walking around with them. Adrian bit back his response. Instead, he took Emma's hand and walked toward their car. His old Honda sat 3 rows back, rust showing through the paint near the wheel wells. It looked even more beaten up, surrounded by the SUVs and luxury sedans filling the lot. He buckled Emma into her booster seat. She was quiet. Too quiet. Em, you okay? Did you do something bad, Daddy? The question punched the air from his lungs. No, baby. I didn't. Then why was that lady so mad? How could he explain it? How could he tell his 7-year-old daughter that sometimes people assume the worst, that sometimes your appearance, your job, your old car and worn jacket make people think things about you that aren't true? She was scared, he finally said. When people are scared, they sometimes say things they don't mean. Emma considered this. Will she say sorry? I don't know. You always make me say sorry when I'm mean. Yeah, well. Adrian started the car. The engine coughed twice before catching. Grown-ups don't always follow the same rules. They drove home in silence. The heater barely worked, pushing out air that was only slightly warmer than the temperature outside. Christmas lights decorated every house they passed, but Adrian barely saw them. His mind kept replaying the scene, the woman's face, her accusations, the crowd watching, the feeling of being guilty until proven innocent. He'd only been trying to help. Their apartment was on the 3rd floor of a building that needed a new roof and better insulation. Adrian carried a sleeping Emma up the stairs, her head resting on his shoulder. Inside, he laid her in bed, still wearing her coat because her room was too cold without it. He sat on his own bed, still in his jacket, staring at nothing. His phone buzzed. A text from his boss at the school where he worked nights as a janitor. "Can you cover tomorrow?" Marcus called out, sick. Adrian typed back, "Yes." Another buzz. This time from his phone company. "Your bill is past due. Please pay immediately to avoid service interruption." He set the phone face down on the nightstand. Tomorrow, he'd go back to mopping floors and emptying trash cans in classrooms where kids learned things he'd never been able to afford to learn. Tomorrow, he'd smile at teachers who never really saw him, just walked past him like he was part of the furniture. Tomorrow, he'd forget about tonight. Except he knew he wouldn't. The woman's face was burned into his memory. Her voice echoed in his head, the way she'd looked at him, like he was dangerous, like he was a threat. Adrian lay back on his bed and stared at the water-stained ceiling. He'd done the right thing. He knew he'd done the right thing. So why did it feel like he'd done something terribly, horribly wrong? Can Adrian move past this moment, or will one woman's accusation haunt him forever? Someone was knocking on Adrian's door. He jerked awake, his heart hammering. The apartment was dark except for the streetlight filtering through the thin curtains. His phone said 11:47 p.m. Who would be here at this hour? The knocking came again, harder this time. Adrian pulled himself out of bed and moved to the door, checking Emma's room on the way, still asleep. He looked through the peephole. A woman stood in the hallway, white coat, dark hair. Even through the distorted fisheye lens, he recognized her. His hand froze on the doorknob. "Please." Her voice came through the door, muffled but clear. "I know you're in there. I can see your shadow. I just want to talk." Adrian's mind raced. How did she know where he lived? Had she followed him? Was this about to get worse? "I'm alone," she added. "And I'm not here to cause trouble, I promise." Against every instinct screaming at him to leave the door locked, Adrian opened it, but he kept the chain on, leaving just a 4-inch gap. The woman stood under the flickering hallway light, and this close, Adrian could see things he'd missed before. The exhaustion around her eyes, the smudged makeup, the way her hands shook slightly before she clasped them together. "How did you find me?" His voice came out flat. "I called in some favors, asked around." She looked down. "I know how that sounds, but I needed to find you." "Why?" "Because I owe you an apology." She met his eyes. A real one. Not just words, but, "I need you to understand what happened tonight. What I did to you." Adrian said nothing. "My daughters told me everything on the drive home. How you helped them, how gentle you were, how your daughter held their hands." Her voice cracked. "And I treated you like a criminal. In front of everyone. Yeah, you did. I was terrified. I'd lost sight of them for just 2 minutes. And when I turned back around, they were gone. I searched everywhere. I called security. I was imagining the worst possible things." She took a breath. "And then I saw you with them, and my brain just jumped to conclusions. Wrong conclusions. I know." She wiped at her eye. "I know. And I'm so sorry. There's no excuse for what I said, how I treated you, the assumptions I made." Adrian leaned against the doorframe, suddenly exhausted. "Do you know what it's like to help someone and get accused of the exact opposite? In front of your kid? I can't imagine. Emma asked me if I did something bad. My 7-year-old daughter asked me if I was a bad person." The woman's face crumpled. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." They stood there in the hallway, the fluorescent light buzzing overhead. From somewhere in the building came the sound of a TV playing too loud. A door slammed on a lower floor. "Why come here?" Adrian asked. "Why not just let it go?" "Because my daughters wouldn't stop crying." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Because they said you were kind to them when they were scared. Because Zara said your daughter shared her hot chocolate. Because Nia said you promised to find me and you kept that promise." She looked up at him. "Because people like you, people who help when they don't have to, don't deserve to be treated the way I treated you." Adrian felt something shift in his chest. Not forgiveness exactly, but something. "Your daughters are sweet kids," he finally said. "They are." A small smile touched her lips. Too sweet sometimes, too trusting. That's what scares me. Being scared doesn't give you the right to attack people. You're right, it doesn't. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a business card. I know you didn't want this earlier, but please, take it. If there's anything I can do, anything, to make this right, I want to do it. Adrian looked at the card. Celine Montgomery, CEO, Montgomery Enterprises, an address downtown that he recognized as one of the tallest buildings in the city. He took the card, not because he wanted anything from her, but because refusing it felt petty. Thank you, Celine said, for everything, for helping my girls, for listening to me now, for being a better person than I was tonight. She turned to leave, then paused. Your daughter is lucky. She has a father who teaches her to help people. That's rare. Then she was walking down the hallway, her heels clicking on the worn carpet. Adrian watched until she disappeared into the stairwell. He closed the door and locked it, looked at the business card in his hand. Celine Montgomery, CEO, a woman from a completely different world than his. He set the card on the kitchen counter and went back to bed. But sleep didn't come easy. Will Adrian ever see Celine again? Or was this apology just the end of a strange, terrible night? The envelope arrived 3 days later. Adrian found it wedged in his apartment door when he got home from his night shift at the school. Heavy, cream-colored paper. His name written in perfect script across the front. No return address. He held it up to the hallway light. Emma was still at his mother's house for the morning, so he had the apartment to himself. He ripped it open. Inside was a handwritten letter on matching stationery and 2 tickets. Dear Adrian, the letter began, my daughters haven't stopped talking about you and Emma. They asked if they could see you both again, to properly say thank you. I've enclosed tickets to the Winter Wonderland exhibit at the Children's Museum this Saturday at 2 p.m. No pressure, no obligations, just an invitation. If you decide not to come, I understand completely, but I hope you do. Celine. Adrian read it twice, then a third time. He looked at the tickets, premium passes, the kind that cost more than he made in a day. His first instinct was to throw them away. He didn't need charity, didn't need some rich CEO trying to ease her guilt with expensive gifts. But then he thought about Emma. She'd been quiet since that night at the park, more withdrawn. She hadn't asked to go anywhere or do anything, and she loved museums. He set the envelope on the counter next to Celine's business card. Saturday came faster than he expected. Adrian spent 20 minutes trying to find a shirt that didn't have a stain or a hole, settled on a blue button-up that was only slightly faded. Emma wore her best dress, the one she saved for church, and braided her own hair without being asked. Are we really going to see Zara and Nia? She asked in the car. Looks like it. Are they nice now? Their mom? Adrian's hands tightened on the steering wheel. She apologized, Em. People make mistakes. Big mistakes. Yeah, big ones. The Children's Museum sat in the heart of downtown, all glass and steel, looking like something from a different city. Adrian had driven past it 100 times but never gone inside. The parking alone cost $15. He found a spot 3 blocks away where it was free. They walked through the cold, Emma's hand in his. The museum's entrance was packed with families. Expensive coats, designer bags, the kind of casual wealth that didn't think twice about $60 admission tickets. Adrian pulled out his passes at the front desk. The woman behind the counter smiled too wide. Oh, you're here for the Montgomery party. They're in the special exhibit hall. 3rd floor. Elevators to your party? Right. Adrian looked at the tickets again. Nothing about a party? Private event. Very exclusive. You're lucky. Emma tugged his arm. Come on, Daddy. They rode the elevator up. Adrian's stomach felt tight. This was a mistake. He shouldn't have come. This was Celine's world, not his. She probably invited dozens of people. He'd be the janitor who showed up thinking he was special. The elevator doors opened to a winter wonderland. Fake snow covered everything. Ice sculptures glowed with blue light. A massive Christmas tree reached toward the ceiling, covered in ornaments that probably cost more than Adrian's monthly rent. And standing near the entrance, wearing a simple green sweater and jeans, was Celine. She saw them immediately. Her face lit up. You came? You said 2 p.m. I did. She smiled. I wasn't sure you would. The tickets were nice. Emma loves museums. I'm glad. Celine knelt down to Emma's level. Hi, Emma. Do you remember me? Emma nodded, but pressed closer to Adrian's leg. It's okay, Celine said softly. I know I scared you last time. I'm sorry about that. But I promise I'm much nicer when I'm not panicking about my kids. Mommy! Two voices shouted in unison. Zara and Nia came running across the exhibit hall, their braids flying behind them. They crashed into Adrian's legs, hugging him, before he could react. You're here! You're here! Zara looked up at him with huge eyes. We thought you wouldn't come! We made Mommy invite you like 500 times, Nia added. Adrian couldn't help but smile. 500? That's a lot. Maybe 600, Zara said seriously. Emma giggled. The first real laugh Adrian had heard from her in days. Celine stood back up. They've been counting down the days, literally. We have a calendar in the kitchen with today circled in red marker. Adrian looked around the exhibit hall. Besides museum staff, there was no one else here. Where's everyone else? The woman downstairs said this was a party. It is a party. For 6 people. Celine gestured to the empty hall. I rented it out for the afternoon. Just us. I thought it might be less awkward than a crowd. You rented out the entire exhibit? Is that too much? I wasn't sure. I can be really bad at this kind of thing. She looked genuinely worried. My assistant said it might come across as showing off, but I just wanted somewhere the girls could actually talk to you and Emma without 100 other kids running around. Adrian didn't know what to say. The whole exhibit. Just for them. Come on! Zara grabbed Emma's hand. You have to see the ice castle. It's huge! The girls ran off together, their laughter echoing off the high ceilings. Adrian watched them go, something warm spreading through his chest. Thank you, Celine said quietly, for coming, for giving us another chance. Your daughters are good kids. They didn't deserve to be punished because their mom had a bad night. Celine flinched. Direct. I appreciate that. They walked slowly through the exhibit, following the sound of the girls' voices. Adrian kept his hands in his pockets, unsure what to do with them. Everything here felt fragile and expensive, like he might break something just by breathing wrong. Can I ask you something? Celine Why did you help them? That night at the park. Most people would have just told security and walked away. Adrian thought about it. I have a daughter. If she was lost and scared, I'd hope someone would help her. Seems simple. It's not simple. Not anymore. People don't help like that. Maybe you're around the wrong people. Celine laughed. Actually laughed. Maybe I am. They found the girls inside a room made entirely of ice. Walls, furniture, even a chandelier. Emma and the twins were sitting on an ice bench, talking like they'd known each other forever. Zara was explaining something with big hand gestures. Nia was nodding along. Emma was actually smiling. Adrian's chest ached watching them. When was the last time Emma had friends? Real friends. Not just kids in her class who ignored her because her clothes weren't new. She's beautiful, Celine said, watching Emma. She looks just like you. Got her mother's smile, though. Is she? Celine trailed off. Gone. Left when Emma was 2. Haven't heard from her since. I'm sorry. Don't be. We're better off. He said it automatically, the same thing he always said. But standing here, watching his daughter laugh with other kids in a museum he could never afford, he wondered if that was really true. Maybe Emma deserved more than just better off. Celine's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and frowned. I need to take this. Work emergency. Will you be okay here for a few minutes? We'll manage. She walked toward the exit, already talking rapidly into the phone. Adrian moved closer to the ice room, staying just outside where he could see the girls but give them space. They were playing some kind of game now, taking turns telling stories. Emma's voice carried through the cold air, and then my daddy said we had to help them because that's what good people do. Zara and Nia looked at each other. Then Nia said, Our daddy left. We don't see him anymore. Does it make you sad? Emma asked. Sometimes. But Mommy says, we're okay without him. My daddy says that too. About my mom. The 3 girls sat quiet for a moment. Then Zara said, I think both our families are okay, even if they're different. Yeah, Emma agreed. Different is okay. Adrian's throat got tight. He turned away, blinking hard. When Celine came back, her face was stressed. I'm sorry. Crisis at work. I have to go handle something at the office, but please stay as long as you want. The whole exhibit is yours until 6 p.m. You don't have to want to. She looked at her daughters. They're happy. Really happy. I haven't seen them like this in months. Whatever you did that night, whatever kind of father you are to Emma, it's something special. And I don't want to take this away from. She started to leave, then stopped. Adrian, would you and Emma want to do this again? Not here. Somewhere normal. Maybe the zoo. The girls have been asking. Adrian looked at the three girls playing in the ice room, at Emma's face, bright with joy. Yeah, he heard himself say. We'd like that. Celine's smile could have lit up the whole museum. What happens when two completely different worlds start to collide? Can Adrian and Celine bridge the gap between their lives? The coffee shop was loud and crowded and absolutely perfect. Adrian sat across from Celine at a tiny table near the window. Rain drummed against the glass. Outside, cars splashed through puddles. Inside, the espresso machine hissed and people typed on laptops and the air smelled like coffee beans and cinnamon. 2 weeks had passed since the museum, 2 weeks of text messages about meeting up, 2 weeks of Adrian talking himself out of this at least a dozen times. But here he was. I can't believe you've never been here, Celine said, wrapping her hands around her mug. This place makes the best cappuccino in the city. I'm more of a black coffee guy. Because you like it or because Adrian it's cheaper? Looked up sharply, but Celine's face held no judgment, just honest curiosity. Both, he admitted. She nodded. I respect that. I grew up on black coffee too. My dad worked construction. We didn't have money for fancy drinks. Your dad worked construction and now you're a CEO? Scholarships, student loans I'm still paying off, 80-hour work weeks for 10 years straight. She took a sip. People see the title in the office and think I was born into it. They don't see the path. Adrian studied her. In jeans and a sweater without the expensive coat and heels, she looked younger, more real. Why'd you really ask me here? Without the kids? Because I want to know you, the person who helped my daughters, the father who raised a daughter like Emma. She met his eyes. And maybe because I need to understand how you do it. Be enough for your kid when it feels like you're failing every single day. The honesty in her voice caught Adrian off guard. He set down his coffee. You think you're failing? I know I am. I work 60 hours a week, minimum. My daughters barely see me. When I am home, I'm exhausted and short-tempered. I miss school events. I forget important conversations. And that night at the park? Her voice dropped. I was on a conference call when they got on the carousel. I looked away for 2 minutes. 2 minutes and I lost them. But you found them. You found them. I was running around panicking while you actually did something useful. She shook her head. And then I treated you like garbage for it. You apologized. We moved past it. Have we, though? Because I still wake up at night thinking about your face, how you looked when I accused you, the hurt in your eyes. She twisted her mug. I've been successful my whole career because I make decisions fast, trust my gut. But my gut was wrong about you, completely wrong. And I can't stop wondering what else I'm wrong about. Adrian leaned back. Rain kept falling. The coffee shop kept buzzing with noise. But at their little table, everything felt quiet. You want to know my secret? He finally said. I don't have one. I'm broke. I work nights cleaning schools so I can be there when Emma gets home from class. I can't afford nice clothes or museums or zoo trips. Half the time I'm terrified I'm messing her up because I can't give her what other kids have. But she's happy. Is she? Or does she just hide it well because she knows I'm trying my best? Celine's expression softened. She's happy, trust me. My daughters have everything, toys, clothes, vacations, private school. And you know what they talk about? Emma's daddy who helps lost kids. Emma's daddy who keeps his promises. Emma's daddy who makes her laugh. Adrian's throat went tight. You're not failing, Celine continued. You're just tired. Same as me. Same as every parent who's doing this alone. You make it look easy. So do you. They sat with that for a moment. Outside, the rain picked up. Thunder rumbled somewhere distant. "I need to tell you something," Celine said. Her voice had changed, gotten serious. "About why I really wanted to see you today." Adrian's stomach clenched. Here it comes. The real reason. The catch. "My company is opening a new community center. Free programs for kids and families, tutoring, sports, arts, career counseling, all in neighborhoods that need it most." She pulled out her phone, scrolled through something. "We need a director. Someone who understands the community. Someone who actually cares about helping people, not just building a resume." She turned the phone toward him. A job posting. Director of Community Engagement. Salary that made Adrian's eyes go wide. "I want you to apply." Adrian pushed the phone back. "I'm a janitor." "You're a father who notices when kids are in trouble, who doesn't walk away when things get hard, who knows what it's like to struggle and still shows up every day." She leaned forward. "That job posting says we want someone with a master's degree and 10 years of experience. But you know what we really need? We need someone real. Someone those families will trust. You don't even know me. I know you return to strangers' children instead of just calling security. I know your daughter is kind and brave because you taught her to be. I know you came to that museum even though you were probably terrified it was a trap." She smiled. "I know enough." Adrian's head was spinning. "This is a charity, with requirements and expectations and an interview process. You'd have to apply like everyone else, compete with dozens of other candidates. But I'm telling you there's an opening because I think you'd be good at it. And if I say no, then we stay friends. We set up playdates for the kids. We keep getting coffee. Nothing changes except you miss out on a really good opportunity." Adrian looked at the job posting again. The salary was 3 times what he made now. Health insurance, retirement benefits, normal hours. He could be home for Emma's bedtime. Could take her to museums without counting every penny. But it felt wrong, like accepting payment for helping those girls. "Think about it," Celine said, pocketing her phone. "That's all I ask. You don't have to decide today." The conversation shifted after that. Lighter topics. Celine told stories about her daughter's constant schemes. Adrian talked about Emma's obsession with astronomy. They laughed, actually laughed like friends do. When they finally left the coffee shop, the rain had stopped. The sidewalks gleamed wet under the streetlights. "Thank you," Celine said, "for coming today, for listening, for not throwing that coffee in my face when I offered you a job. Day's not over yet." She laughed. They walked to their cars. Celine's was the sleek black one from the park. Adrian's was the Honda with the rusted wheel wells. They looked ridiculous, parked next to each other. "Adrian?" Celine called as he was opening his door. "You're a good man. I hope you know that." He didn't know what to say, so he just nodded and got in his car. On the drive home, his phone buzzed. A text from Celine, job posting link in case you want another look. No pressure, just possibilities. Adrian glanced at it at a red light. Then he put his phone away. But he couldn't stop thinking about it, about possibilities, about what life could look like about whether he was brave enough to try. The interview was in 3 days. Adrian had submitted his application 2 weeks ago expecting nothing, but yesterday he'd gotten the call, the email, the request to come in and interview with the hiring committee. He hadn't told Emma yet, hadn't told anyone except his mother, who'd immediately started crying and said it was about time God gave him a break. Now he stood in his bedroom holding up 2 shirts. Both were old. One had a small stain near the collar he'd tried to bleach out. The other was faded from too many washes. This was stupid. He was going to walk into that office and they'd take one look at him and know he didn't belong. His phone rang. Celine's name flashed on the screen. "Hey, are you freaking out?" Her voice was kind. "Is it that obvious? I've been on both sides of these interviews. Everyone freaks out. It's normal." Adrian sat on his bed. "I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a degree. I've never managed anyone. I clean floors for a living." "You've managed your daughter's entire life. You've navigated poverty and single parenthood and still show up every day with kindness." Celine paused. "The degree doesn't matter. What matters is whether you care about the people we're trying to help, and I know you do." What if I mess up the interview? Then you mess it up, and life goes on. But at least you tried. Adrian picked at a loose thread on his comforter. Did you tell them, the hiring committee, that we know each other? I recused myself from your application entirely. Different people are handling it. Yes. They know I recommended you, but so did 3 other community leaders I asked to review candidates. You got the interview on your own merit. That made him feel slightly better, and somehow worse. Adrian, you deserve this opportunity. Stop telling yourself you don't. After they hung up, Adrian picked the shirt with the stain. He'd wear a jacket over it anyway. Interview day arrived with rain and cold wind. Adrian dropped Emma at school early, kissed her forehead, and told her he had an important meeting. She asked if it was about the job he'd mentioned. He said, maybe. I hope you get it, Daddy. Then you could be home when I get off the bus. His heart nearly broke. The Montgomery building downtown was even more impressive than he'd remembered. 40 floors of glass and steel. The lobby had marble floors and a waterfall wall and security guards who looked at him suspiciously until he showed his appointment confirmation. The elevator ride to the 28th floor felt like forever. He walked into a reception area that probably cost more to furnish than his apartment. A young woman behind the desk smiled. Adrian Chambers? That's me. Conference room B. Down the hall, 3rd door on your right. They're ready for you. His legs felt weak, but he walked anyway. The conference room held 5 people sitting behind a long table. 3 women, 2 men, all dressed professionally, all looking at him with neutral expressions that gave nothing away. Mr. Chambers, thank you for coming. The woman in the center gestured to an empty chair. Please have a seat. Adrian sat. His jacket suddenly felt too tight. I'm Diana Foster, VP of Community Relations. This is Marcus, Keisha, James, and Patricia. We've reviewed your application. We have some questions. For the next 45 minutes, they asked him everything. Why did he want this job? What experience did he have working with communities? How would he handle conflict? What did he know about the neighborhoods they were serving? Adrian answered honestly. Sometimes his answers felt too simple, too unsophisticated compared to what they probably wanted to hear, but he didn't know how else to be except himself. Then Diana asked, what makes you qualified for this position when you don't have the traditional background we usually require? Adrian took a breath. I don't have a degree. I can't talk about case studies or management theories, but I know what it's like to be the family this center is trying to help. I know what it's like to choose between paying rent and buying your kid winter boots. I know how it feels when people look through you because your job isn't impressive enough. I know what these families need because I am these families. The room went quiet. And if I get this job, Adrian continued, I'll show up every single day remembering that. I won't forget where I came from. I won't forget what struggle looks like, because the moment I forget, I become useless to the people who need help most. Diana made a note. Thank you, Mr. Chambers. We'll be in touch within the week. Adrian stood, shook everyone's hands, and walked out. His legs shook the whole way to the elevator. He'd either just nailed that interview or completely embarrassed himself. No way to know which. That night, Emma asked how it went. Adrian said he didn't know. She hugged him and said she was proud of him anyway. 5 days later, his phone rang at 4 p.m. Mr. Unknown Chambers? Number. This is Diana Foster. Do you have a moment to talk? Adrian's heart stopped. We'd like to offer you the position. Director of Community Engagement. Start date is 3 weeks from Monday. Are you still interested? The world tilted. Yes, I'm interested. Wonderful. HR will send over the formal offer letter and benefits package tomorrow. Welcome to Montgomery Enterprises, Adrian. After he hung up, Adrian just stood in his kitchen, staring at nothing. He'd done it. Actually done it. Emma came running from her room. Daddy? What's wrong? You look weird. He picked her up even though she was getting too big for it, spun her around. I got the job, Em, I got it. She screamed with joy. That night, Celine texted, heard the news. Congratulations. You earned it. Adrian texted back, thank you. For everything. Coffee soon? He looked at Emma, already asleep in her bed, her face peaceful. Looked around their small apartment that suddenly didn't feel quite so heavy. Yeah, coffee soon. Adrian's life is about to change completely. But is he ready for what comes next? The community center opened 4 months later. Adrian stood in the main lobby watching families pour through the doors. Kids ran toward the tutoring rooms. Parents checked out the career counseling office. Teenagers clustered around the new computers. Everything was bright and clean and full of hope. He still couldn't believe this was his job, that he got paid to do this, that he walked into this building every morning and people called him Director Chambers. Looks good. Celine appeared beside him, holding 2 coffee cups. She handed him one. You did this. We did this. No, I funded it. You made it real. She watched a mother carrying a toddler stop to read the services board. Every single family that walks through those doors. That's because of you. Adrian's chest felt tight in a good way. Thank you for taking a chance on me. I didn't take a chance. I made a smart business decision. She smiled. Best hire I ever approved, even if I wasn't technically supposed to approve it. Over the past months, Adrian and Celine had fallen into an easy friendship. Coffee once a week. Text messages about their daughters. The occasional dinner when their schedules aligned. Nothing romantic. Just 2 parents who understood each other's struggles. Emma and the twins were inseparable now. Every weekend was a playdate. Every school break was an adventure. Zara and Nia had even started coming to Adrian's apartment, small and worn as it was, because they said it felt cozy. Can I ask you something? Celine said, watching the lobby. Go ahead. Personal. Are you happy? Really happy? Or are you just less stressed? Adrian thought about it, both, maybe. This job changed everything. I can pay my bills without choosing which ones to skip. I'm home when Emma gets off the bus. I don't fall asleep exhausted every night. He paused. But yeah, I'm happy. First time in years I can say that and mean it. Celine smiled, but something in her expression looked sad. Adrian asked. Are you happy? I'm getting there. The girls are better. I cut my hours back, started saying no to things. She sipped her coffee. Turns out the company doesn't fall apart if I'm not there every second. Who knew? Your daughters must love having you around more. They do. We actually ate dinner together 4 times this week. That's a record. She laughed, but it sounded hollow. I'm trying, Adrian, really trying. But some days I still feel like I'm failing them. You're not failing them. You're learning. There's a difference. A little girl ran up to Adrian, tugging his sleeve. Mr. Chambers, my mom wants to talk to you about the reading program. Be right there, sweetheart. He turned back to Celine. Duty calls. Go. Save the world one family at a time. He started to walk away, then stopped. Hey, Celine, you're a good mom. Better than you think. Her eyes got shiny. The reading program mother wanted to enroll her daughter in after school tutoring. Adrian got her signed up, gave her a schedule, and watched her face light up with relief. 3 more families stopped him before he made it back to his office, each one needing something, each one leaving grateful. This was what he was meant to do. He felt it in his bones. By the time the center closed at 8 p.m., Adrian was exhausted but fulfilled. He locked up, set the alarm, and headed to his car. The Honda was still rusty, still old, but it ran better now that he could afford maintenance. His phone buzzed. Emma, Grandma made pot roast. He smiled and drove home faster. That night, after dinner and homework and bedtime stories, Emma asked, Daddy, are we rich now? Adrian almost laughed. No, baby, we're comfortable. There's a difference. What's the difference? Rich is having more than you need. Comfortable is having enough. We have enough now. Emma thought about this. I like enough. Me too, Em. Me too. Later, alone in his room, Adrian pulled out the business card Celine had given him that first night, the one he'd almost thrown away, the one that had changed everything. He'd kept it as a reminder of how one act of kindness had led to another, of how helping 2 lost girls had somehow led to helping hundreds of families, of how the worst night of his life had become the catalyst for the best thing that ever happened to him. Life was strange like that. Adrian has found his purpose, but what happens when everything he's built faces its biggest test? The email came on a Tuesday morning. Adrian was halfway through his first coffee when his phone dinged. Message from Diana Foster, his boss. Subject line urgent. Please call. His stomach dropped. Urgent was never good. He called immediately. Diana picked up on the first ring. Adrian, thanks for calling back so fast. I need you to come to my office. Now, if possible. What's wrong? Just come. Please. 20 minutes later, Adrian sat across from Diana's desk. Her expression was serious. Behind her, rain streaked down the windows. The city looked gray and cold. We have a problem, Diana said. Budget cuts. The board is reviewing all programs. The community center is on the list. Adrian's blood went cold. What does that mean? It means they're questioning whether it's financially sustainable, whether the return on investment justifies the cost. She rubbed her temples. I'm fighting for it. Celine is fighting for it. But some board members want hard numbers. Metrics. Proof that it's working. We've helped over 300 families in 4 months. I know. But they want data that shows long-term impact. Jobs secured, test scores improved, families lifted out of poverty. She looked at him with tired eyes. They want results we can't show yet because we haven't been open long enough. Adrian's mind raced. What do we do? You present to the board next week. Show them what the center means. Make them understand why it matters. I'm not good at presentations. You're good at telling the truth. That's
Adrian
what we
left
need.
her
Office feeling sick. Present to the board. Convince rich executives that poor families deserved help. Make them see people instead of numbers. He spent the next week preparing, gathering stories, creating slides, practicing in front of his bathroom mirror. Emma caught him one night and said he sounded nervous. He told her he was terrified. Just be you, Daddy. That's what you always tell me. The board meeting was in the same conference room where he'd interviewed. Same table, but different people sitting there. Older, more expensive suits, expressions that revealed nothing. Celine sat at one end. She gave him a small nod. Adrian stood at the front of the room, his laptop connected to the projector. His hands shook slightly as he pulled up his presentation. Thank you for your time, he began. I'm here to talk about the community center, but I'm not going to show you graphs or statistics. I'm going to tell you about people. He clicked to the first slide, a photo of the center's lobby on opening day. This is Marcus. He's 11. His mom works 2 jobs. She couldn't afford tutoring. Marcus was failing 4th grade. Now he comes to our center every day after school. His reading improved 2 grade levels in 3 months. He told me last week he wants to be a teacher. Click. Next slide. This is Teresa, single mom with 3 kids. She was living in her car. Our staff connected her with housing assistance and job training. She starts work as a medical assistant next month. Her kids have a home. Click. Next slide. This is James. He's 16, was headed for trouble, fell in with the wrong crowd. Our mentorship program paired him with a college student. Now he's talking about applying to community college. Adrian went through 12 more stories, 12 families whose lives had changed. He could see some board members leaning forward. Others remained stone-faced. You want return on investment? Adrian said. Every family we help is one less family in the emergency room because they can't afford preventive care, one less family needing public assistance, one less kid dropping out of school. You want numbers? Those families represent millions in saved costs to meeting eyes around the table. But here's what really matters. Every single one of those families deserves a chance. They're not statistics. They're not line items in a budget. They're people trying to survive in a system that makes survival almost impossible. His voice got stronger. I know because I was them. 6 months ago, I was the single dad working night shifts and skipping meals so my daughter could eat. I was the guy people looked through, the one society forgot. The room was completely silent. This company gave me a chance. You gave me a chance. And now I'm giving chances to families just like mine. That's what this center does. It sees people. It helps them. It changes lives. He looked at Celine. She was crying. So yes, cut the budget if you need to. Close the center if the numbers don't work. But know that every family we turn away is a family that could have been saved. Adrian closed his laptop. Thank you for listening. The board chair, an older man in a suit that probably cost more than Adrian's monthly rent, cleared his throat. Thank you, Mr. Chambers. We'll deliberate and let you know our decision. Adrian walked out. His legs felt like water. He'd done everything he could. Now it was out of his hands. 3 days later, Diana called him. The board voted. The center stays open, full funding, no cuts. Adrian sat down hard on his office chair. Really? Really? Whatever you said in that room, it worked. Several board members called me personally to say they were moved. One donated an additional 100,000 out of his own pocket. After he hung up, Adrian put his head in his hands and cried. Not sad tears, relief, joy, disbelief. That night, he took Emma out for ice cream, told her the center was safe. She hugged him so hard he couldn't breathe. Later, Celine texted, proud of you. The girls and I are taking you and Emma out this weekend. They ended up at the zoo. All 5 of them, watching the monkeys and eating overpriced hot dogs and laughing until their stomachs hurt. Zara and Nia held Emma's hands. Celine walked beside Adrian, close enough that their shoulders occasionally touched. Thank you, she said quietly, for reminding me why I started this company. It wasn't about money. It was about helping people. I did, for a while. Got caught up in profits and board meetings and forgot what actually mattered. She looked at her daughters. But then 2 little girls got lost in a park, and a janitor helped them, and everything changed. Adrian smiled. Funny how life works. Yeah, funny. They stood there watching their daughters laugh together. 3 girls from completely different worlds who were now inseparable. 2 parents who'd started as strangers and become something Adrian couldn't quite define. Not quite friends, not quite more, but something meaningful, something good. Later, as the sun set and they walked toward the parking lot, Emma ran back to Adrian. Daddy, can Zara and Nia come over tomorrow, please? If their mom says it's okay. Celine nodded. It's okay. Emma cheered and ran ahead with the twins. Adrian and Celine followed slowly. This is nice, Celine said. This life we've built. For them. Thank you. For that night at the park. For everything after. For being exactly who you are. Adrian looked at her. Really looked. Saw the woman who'd accused him in front of a crowd. Saw the woman who'd apologized at his door. Saw the woman who'd given him a chance to change his life. Thank you. Saw all of it at once. For seeing me when everyone else looked through me. They reached their cars. The moment stretched between them, full of things unsaid, possibilities, questions, futures that could happen if they were brave enough. Bravery. Tonight was about gratitude, for second chances, for families built from broken pieces, for love that grew in unexpected places. Same time next week? Celine asked. Same time next week. They drove away in opposite directions, but Adrian knew they'd always find their way back. Some people came into your life for a reason, to teach you, to challenge you, to change you. Celine had been all 3, and whatever came next, friendship or more, he was grateful for it. Grateful for that night at the park when 2 lost girls had led him to exactly where he needed to be. Grateful for every moment after. Life wasn't perfect, but it was good. And good was more than enough. This story shows us that one act of kindness can change everything. That helping someone when no one else will matters. That being seen matters. That second chances matter. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our next inspiring story. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words might inspire someone else who needs hope today. And remember, you never know when your small act of kindness might change someone's entire world.